happening, my debt-free millionaire zealots? This is Zach Edwards for another debt-free millionaire podcast and personal finance course. We are so excited about talking about our topic today on transportation. Now, that might just sound boring, but we're going to go over some current events, some things that are happening in buying a car or taking public transportation. So let's get started. Okay, so today is week 5, day 4. And this is where we're going to talk about new debt in the form of transportation. So here's the question. What kind of car do you want? Let's see. Do you want a micro car, a hatchback, a crossover, a sedan, a coupe, so on and so forth, a van? You want a minivan? You want to live in a van down by the river? Okay, a sports car, a roadster. These are all different types of cars that are out there. But here's the thing. You can't afford most of these cars when you're just starting out. You might be able to afford, let's see, maybe half of these right there. Nope. Take out the truck, take out the van. Off-roader, probably. Maybe a small SUV, or a small SUV or a midsize if it's used. So basically, a third of these cars you could actually afford. You're not going to get an open wheel ever. You know what? Never say never. Again, we're going to make you millionaires. So if you want to buy an open wheel, great. Just don't put it on the street. And a limousine. Again, millionaire. Yeah. Most millionaires cannot actually afford to be driven around by a limousine. Just to let you know. Or if they are wasting their money. So let's just strike those two out. Hyper, yeah, probably strike that out. Muscle, please. That's what I want. That's right. That's what I want when I have plenty of extra money. So right now, I don't. And probably neither do you. Okay, but how do we get a nice car starting off with something we can afford? So the first thing you want to ask yourself is which one do you need? Do you need a car or do you need public transportation? Where do you live? Okay, so let's just say you live in New York. In New York, if you're like everyone else, most people walk or take the subway to work. And about 95% of the people say it's not worth it to have a car inside of New York. So not worth having a car because what? There are fees on the cars. Yes, the city will actually tax you extra for having a car. There are parking lot fees, which are astronomical. Every day you're spending $20, $30, or $40 just to park your car. There's all these different things. So like in New York, you're not going to get that. How about Washington, D.C.? You're most likely not going to need a car either, at least not one that you drive into work. You might need it for extra, but not driving into work. Because again, there's the same kind of fees, same kind of issues, and it's just easier to go around on a train. So you can buy yourself a monthly transportation pass and go to all the places that you need to go. You don't need a car. You don't need any one of these. Now, for the rest of America, there's a good chance that you actually need a car, depending on where you live. So when you buy a house or a rental, make sure that there's public transportation around you while you're saving your money to buy a car. Now, none of these, if you're just starting out or if you're highly in debt, do you ever want to buy new? You want to buy used. Okay, so before we go into this, let's go into commutes. If you're in the Midwest region, the average commute is 24.5. I don't have one because I actually work remote with my team. So I work from my home office, which is a normal thing these days. So these numbers, again, this is 2019, and during COVID is when this actually started. This has been struck down nearly half. But if you do work in an office, you're most likely going about 24.5 minutes to get to your destination. Okay. In the South region, West region, Northeast, meaning like New York and Boston and such, it's 31 minutes of commuting time. That's a lot of time away from home. That's an hour there and an hour back. So think of your job. Do you want a remote job or do you want to commute? Or where are you living? And can you get public transportation? Because you could be on the subway doing work. Or not in New York because I wouldn't trust those subways. But if you're in the subways of Washington, D.C., you can actually sit at a table and go in a commuter train and work on whatever work that you're working on. You can bring your laptop. That's actually part of your work time, or could be, or home time, whatever. Just to give you a better understanding of this, low commutes are in the blue. That's these states right here. High commutes are where they turn red. New York, right there. That's the number one reddest area. And then right here is, it's right up there, nearing 33 minutes to get into work, and so on and so forth. The medium, the neutrals, are Washington, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, where I'm at. So yeah, it's a give and take. It depends on where you're at. One last picture to show you this. This just shows you what your commutes are. New York itself, 33. South Dakota, 16, 17, 17, 18 minutes. Not that bad. Missouri, I'm right here. About 24.5. Look at that. So yeah, and this is in 2022. Now these are commuters. These are not remote workers. The average for the United States is right there, around 28%, or 28 minutes, sorry. Okay, so now what kind of car do you want to buy if you are to buy a car? Now, if you were to buy a new car, look at these prices. These are per the brand. Buick, wow, that's actually lower than I thought it would be, $38,000. Cadillac, yeah, you're $72,000. It's one of the most expensive in the United States. Lincoln, $70,000. Even Tesla, $60,000, though they do have a $65,000 model. Again, if you're starting out, you can't afford these. If you're getting out of debt, you can't afford these. You should not buy these. Actually, the truth is, you shouldn't buy anything brand new off the lot. Any car, does not matter, because you lose $5,000 worth of value as soon as you drive off the lot. It is now a used car. And unless there's some sort of issue with the car right up front and you have to drive it back on the lot, it's gone. That money is spent. So for Asian brands, it's actually a lot better. So yes, you can buy the Genesis, which is $62,000, or Infiniti, which is $60,000, or Lexus, which is $57,000. But most of these, Honda, $37,000. Now that's somewhat doable for a middle income, not when you're first starting out. Hyundai, Kia, Mazda, where's Toyota? Toyota, 40. Okay, now here's the thing. If I was going with an Asian brand, there's only two that I would really recommend, and that would be Honda or Toyota. And the reason is because they were actually sent through some systems a while ago where they actually learned to make quality, because their product, when they first started out, was not quality. It was for the Asian market, and in the Asian market, it was different. But they wanted to come into the United States, and they had to make some changes. So they're actually some of the best quality cars that you will find in the United States. Cars that are bought and sold, especially if they're used. I have, let's see, my Pilot, I have a Honda Pilot, which is about to hit almost 300,000 miles, and there's barely any issues with it. Now it does have a sensor that's going off in the one of the wheels, but that's a single sensor, and I'm too cheap to replace it because I don't care about my tire pressure, in the sense that I can just walk around the car and find out, like every other car. But it's nice to have. It's a nice little feature. I bought that car 10 years ago for $10,000. I've gotten all my money out of it, and then some, because I bought it used. I bought it for $10,000. Again, it's lasted me for 10 years. But I also had a mechanic check into it and make sure that everything was good, because it was between two Honda Pilots that I wanted. And I needed the third row because I had 4 kids. So, going on, what about European brands? Okay, so this is where you're going to pay Porsche, $112,000. Unless you become a millionaire, don't even think about getting a Porsche. Not worth it, not worth it leasing, not worth getting a car loan on, not at all. Look at that, Land Rover, $110,000. Please do not buy unless, because European brands, there's another thing about European brands. Their parts are expensive even now. Now they've brought them down dramatically, but they're still very expensive to get in here. Alfa Romeo, nice, okay, $52,000. Everything is higher except for Volkswagen, which has fairly good cars. Minis, which don't have any room whatsoever. And also Fiat. Fiat is their lowest brand, and their parts are still expensive. Their parts are still expensive for Mini Coupes. Volkswagen, not so much. They built a lot of factories inside the United States. So, it's just something to know when you're thinking about buying a car. The biggest thing you need to understand is the depreciation on the car. You might buy a new car here. As soon as you drive off the lot, it drops. And then it has slow depreciation over the years. So it's nice to be able to run your own car, make sure that no one's revving the engine, not abusing it, always getting oil changes. That's great. But when you're first starting out, you can't afford that and you shouldn't buy one. So here are just some things that you need to know. This is compact cars, and these are the prices for a Honda. It's $24,000 to $31,000. That's great. Mazda, $25,000 to $36,000. Okay, a little bit more. Just a little bit. Mini Coupe, $26,000 to $36,000. Again, no room, barely any room for the people in the back. And this is for a four-door. And Acura, $32,000 to $51,000. Those are moderate compact cars. Yeah, those are moderate. Actually, this is the moderate. This is the higher end. Here's the thing. If you buy a Honda used, you can usually get it under $10,000 depending on which one you buy. But look at the gas mileage. The gas mileage is great for these cars. I'm going to keep it up here. And even the Mini Coupe, Mazda, Toyota, those are great gas mileage. So especially starting off, getting a compact car that has good gas mileage, that's great. Now, I'm going to actually switch over and show you. Hopefully this comes out in the video. There we go. This one is called Kelley Blue Book. And this is a website that you go to see how good the cars are and what their values should be. If someone's trying to basically take you for a ride and take all your money, you know that there's an issue here. You need to go to Kelley Blue Book and find out how much that car is actually worth. I've got you another one. So now I'm going to go to Carfax. Carfax is a, look at all these advertisements. Okay, finally. Thanks, Google. Plenty of advertising. Okay, Carfax. There we go. Carfax is where you want to check the VIN number of your car. If you're buying a used car, you want to check the VIN number because it will tell you what kind of accidents it's gone into. If it's gone into major accidents, you don't want to buy it, even if it's rebuilt. If it has been flooded, if it's been in a flood area, you don't want to buy it because it's been flooded and it's been damaged inside. It will never be what it should have been from the get-go. So Carfax will actually tell you all the odds and ends. Anytime it's got maintenance, oil changes, you want to make sure that they have a regular oil changes. And so the mechanics actually send it to Carfax. Carfax. This is the Carfax. But Carfax, and they will actually tell you how well they've kept it maintained. Okay, but Kelley Blue Book will help you with the pricing and letting you know how much it's worth. Whether it's, and if you look, this is the graph that you're going to see on there. The red is basically everything that's under, if you go for like a dealership that's selling you. The green is where the dealership should be able to sell it to you. If they sell it, like if it's good condition, it'll be in the low green. If it's great condition, it'll be in the high green. If it's above that, they're ripping you off. If it's below that, there's got to be an issue. But you can also see how much a normal owner is trying to sell it for, and if it's high or low. Another great thing is you can actually find out if you turn it in for money or trading it in for another car. You can see where the value actually is, and if they're actually giving you the amount that you are owed by giving them your car. So Kelley Blue Book, kbb.com is a great one. And then for the VIN number, Carfax is the best. Okay, so going into this a little bit more, I can go into these different things, but this is Carfax, and this shows you basically how much you're going to be spending. If you're going to buy an SUV as a used car, it's $34,000. For a normal car, it's $18,000. For a pickup, $33,000. Large SUV, luxury, hybrid, van, luxury, and or EV. Here's the thing: if you're going to buy a used EV, find out where the warranty is on the battery. The battery is the most expensive thing on that whole car, and if you have to exchange it, you're going to be dishing out a few $1,000s, $2,000 to $5,000 depending on the car, even $10,000 depending on the car. So make sure you have that. But here, what's this value right here? This is interesting. What is this market? Well, this is the value of the car. This is how much they've been selling for. So yeah, you have this price, but where was it a year ago? This is where I'm going to switch you over. Oh, sorry. We're going to come back to this. This is basically what that little graph was showing you. So the average car, average used car, this was the forecasted price of the car. When COVID happened, nobody went to work. No one was building cars for nearly a year to a year and a half. Because no one was buying cars, they weren't being replaced. So the value of those cars actually went up. And so because no one was building those cars, no one was selling their cars either. So the value of the used car market went up dramatically. I mean, look at this. From a car that was supposed to be $22,000 went up to $34,000. That's dramatic. That's a huge hit on just a beginning, someone that's just starting off. And so with that, it has slowly come down. 2022 is when it started slowly coming down. 2023, and then it hopped again. And now it's starting to come back down again. And this is just a little bit. So this is just Copilot is the one that came up with this. But it doesn't matter where you go, all of the graphs show the same thing from all the different sources, that this is what happened. This was forecasted back in 2000. This is what it is now. It's an $8,000 difference. So watch where you're buying your cars from, because the cars, hopefully you have a few more years and hopefully that value comes back down, but it won't come back down that much. This is also because of inflation. So it wasn't just because of COVID happening and what happened with people building cars, but it also happened with inflation. The value of the dollar went down, especially because of this administration, what they had done with money, just giving it out freely and still doing that. So the value of the dollar went down while the price of everything else went up. So that's what happened with the used car market. Now, let's go through this. I'm going to give another example of a used versus a new car and how much you're going to be paying. So say Taylor and Jamie decided to buy a car, or want to buy a car. It's $108,000 sorry. They make $108,000 a year. That's a great amount of money, right? Okay. So their monthly income, and this is them not saving up for this car. Monthly income is $9,000 a year, or sorry, $9,000 a month. Okay, $9,000 a month, that's pre-tax. That's pre-benefits. We've already gone over this. You lose a large chunk of that to taxes and benefits. So strike that nearly in half, almost. You're walking away with $4,500 a month. Okay, now you do have some savings, or sorry, they have some savings. So he pays down payment of $7,000. Now they need to basically pay about $1,000 a month in gas, insurance, and maintenance on that car. If you're just starting out, you're not making $9,000 a month. You're making more of like $3,000 to $4,000 a month. And if you're making that, you're only bringing home half of that, which is about $1,500 to $2,000. And you're going to be spending about $1,000 on just your car. It's not talking about the rent or your food. In other words, you can't afford it. Most people getting out of debt should not buy a used car. Actually, you know what? Nobody should until they get to the place where they have excess funds. Used cars are just as good as a new car, just with a few more miles on them. So this is exactly where your new car is going to be in a few years when it hits that certain point. This is also why there's benefits of getting warranties, having a mechanic looking at it. Again, I've been running my Honda Pilot for 10 years. there's very little things wrong with it. Again, the sensor I think is the only major thing that's wrong with it. Oh, and when I bought it, I also knew that I didn't have four-wheel drive. Again, I got it for a great deal, and it's lasted me for 10 years. I've never needed four-wheel drive. It would have been nice, but I've never actually needed it. So let's go to used cars. Okay, so this is for all cars in this credit score. Sorry, this is for all credit scores. If you have a credit score, as long as you have one, the average new car is about a $550 a month that you're spending towards your car loan payment. If you get a used car, the average is $393 a month for your used car. Now, if you have a good credit score, you're paying about $382. If you have a very low score, these people are taking a gamble with you, and so they're making you pay $419. Again, that's not much difference either. So you can get a used car. Now, this is a car that's used around the average $20,000 range. You don't need a used car at the $20,000 range. You only need a car that's in the $5,000 to $7,000 range, maybe down to $3,000, and maybe even up to $10,000, depending on how much money you have. And the thing is, if you're buying that kind of car, you don't need a down payment. You don't need a down payment because you don't need a loan. You need to be able to save up for it. Now, if you lease a car, this is the worst thing you can do. So some people could say, well, I get a new car every time and I'm still paying the same monthly. Well, the problem is that you walk away with nothing. At least if you have a car, you're paying $550. It's $100 more, but you could actually sell your car for 10 grand after so many years. Here, when you're leasing it, you have to turn it in and you get nothing out of it. So what do you want to do? But look at the used. Ooh, that's so much better than that. It's a $60 savings if you buy a average used car being sold today. You're not going to buy an average. You're going to buy a below average that is well maintained and that you're going to do some research on, again, through Carfax and through Kelley Blue Book. Those are the two sources you really need in order to find a good car that has potential, and then bring it to mechanic to ask them. So these are all ways of figuring out how to buy cars and how to sell cars, but we don't stop there. Okay, so that's what I was showing you. This is the difference in the used car market. It has skyrocketed over the years because of, one, COVID, and then two, inflation. It kept going up. Even when they were building cars again, it still went up. So here's another thing. So the US government is pushing very hard on all the people, and the majority of Americans do not want an EV for many different reasons. We as Americans, we like to travel. If you want to travel, every 200 to 300 miles, you're going to be recharging these cars. And it does not take 5 minutes like like going to the gas station. It takes 45 minutes minimum 45 minutes. So you can only drive 300 miles and then you need to fill up again or recharge again. And then you can go another 200 to 300 miles and then you have to charge again. Look at these prices. They are nice. Tesla Model 3, that would be nice as a new car. If they if they're going to be resold as a used car, check the battery. Make sure it has a warranty. If it's out of warranty, either get a warranty on that battery or don't buy it at all, because that battery is going to suck you dry when it comes to how much it costs. And then up from there, I mean, look at this. Chevy Bolt has a $26,000, but all the rest, BMW, wow, that's not, yeah, again, you cannot afford even the $22,000 a month. Pay exactly what you can afford, which is a used car, because you're going to buy that for $10,000 and you're going to run it in forever. A car that you're going to be buying at a BMW, that one is actually, I want to look this up, but something tells me that that number is actually quite low. So I've never seen that number, and I did bring this program up, but a BMW for that price, something tells me there's something more to it. Or you can just buy a Cybertruck. I mean, that's only $62,000, right? You want a Cybertruck, right? For one thing, I don't see how it's a truck. That is not a bed. That is not the bed of a truck. Don't call it a Cybertruck. It's not a truck. This is a sports car slash all-terrain vehicle. So more like an SUV than a truck. Yes, there is a bed in the truck, but not one that you want to bring around lumber or anything else, dirt. Not a Tesla Cybertruck. Okay, so this is one of the other graphs. This is by Mannheim. They're the ones that put this together, but it basically shows the exact same thing with the used car market. So yeah, this is exactly what happened around 2020 during COVID. Like that dip right there is 2020 COVID, but the rest of this is inflation and what has happened with inflation and the value of the dollar. So yeah, this is a very important thing to understand when it comes to having a car, buying a car. Do you need a car? Most likely, no. If you're just starting out, you take public transportation. Live near where you're going to work. Work remotely. Those jobs they're plentiful. Now, if you're going to be working at like a fast food, that's a startup job. Never end at a fast food restaurant. You are much more valuable than a fast food restaurant. Those are for teenagers. Those are for people starting off. Even immigrants that come in, it's for them starting off. As soon as you can, get yourself into a normal job. Unless you like fast food, become the manager. Become an owner. That's great. Learn all the parts and pieces of a franchise and then buy your own franchise. We're going to walk you through all those different things. But with this happening to the market, it just shows this same thing is happening with the used cars or the new cars as well. Their prices have skyrocketed as well, except for EVs because people stopped wanting them and they have dropped. So they're averaging out with everyone else because Americans don't want them because they want to be able to travel. I don't want to drive around and after 200 miles, I have to plug in. So yeah, there's a lot of issues with that. So before you buy a car, think, do you need one? Think, where do I live or where do I want to live? And is it close to work? Can I get a place that's closer to work? That might actually be cheaper than buying a car. Because cars are like boats. Yes, this is a funny analogy. What does boat mean? BOAT. Bring out another 1,000. Means you're dishing out money when you buy a boat. If you have plenty of money, great, buy a boat. Have fun with it. If you don't, if you're starting out, you don't need a boat. Just like a new car. You don't need a used car. If you have the money to spend on it, great, buy it. It's up to you. If you want to get out of debt and possibly become a millionaire because you're out of debt, great, go that direction. That's so much more plentiful and you will have the money soon afterwards. Maybe not as fast as buying a car that you want and hoping that you can pay off the debt. No, get rid of your debt, make some money, make some investments, and live life. That's what we're going to teach you here. That's what we're doing here. So this is great. We're expanding quite quickly. We are growing, and that's thanks to you. So please share this podcast with a friend. Subscribe if you're not yet. Give us a review. I mean, truthfully, even if it's a critique, we are okay with that. We want to know. Don't hit us too hard, but we want to see what you think. So do that. Send us that critique. We want to give you the best show possible, and that's the only way we're going to do that is actually by asking you questions, getting responses from you, and allowing us to make those adaptations. So thank you so much for joining us on this this episode of Debt Free Millionaire. The next one is actually also going to be fun. We are going to be talking about time to pay your taxes. That's right. 3 days ago was April 15th. It was tax day. And we were just a little bit behind our schedule. This is actually for next week. This is week 6, day 1. So tomorrow will be a bonus episode. So please email me. Tell me what you want in this next episode, and we'll see what we can get in on there. This is going to be a bonus round. Maybe we'll tell you about what's happening in the market. Maybe we'll help you understand what's happening with current events. There's probably some things coming up next week tomorrow in the jobs or inflation, any one of those reports, because they always come out on Friday. You know why they come out on Friday? It's because Friday people are ready for the weekend. They're getting out. They don't want to look at the news. They want to be ready for the weekend. So on Fridays, when the media dumps the reports that they don't want people to hear about. So bonus episode, we're going to give you some of that. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We will catch you next time. Take care. Bye.